If you're familiar at all with Fortnite Creative, then I'm sure there are a few maps that you have seen time and time again. 3v3v3 go goated, red versus blue, only up, but I'm sure there's one map that rises above the rest to appear at the top of the charts time and time again. The Pit. It's a simple concept. Players drop into a big box and fight it out with unlimited resources, unlimited lives, and unlimited chaos. And yet it has proven exceedingly successful, passing over 100 million unique players in 2022. That's more than the population of the United Kingdom. If you look at it in Discover at any time, chances are it will have over 20,000 concurrent users. It's a simple but successful concept. In order to find out why, we'll have to turn back the clock to the year it released, 2020. 2020 was a different time for Fortnite Creative. Not only did it suffer from a bit of a content drought in early Chapter 2, but there was no Discover interface. Instead, the game mode select menu had a few featured creative maps that rotated every few days, and you could get your map featured in the creative hub. Geerzy has been a Fortnite content creator for a long time, with the videos on his YouTube channel dating back to Season 4. Even further back is a video about Minecraft PvP servers. It's more than likely this history of Minecraft multiplayer which influenced Geerzy to create a Fortnite-friendly adaptation of a popular minigame for creative mode, first teased in a tweet in April 2020. After a slight delay caused by the Travis Scott event shutting down game servers, The Pit was released to the world on April 24, 2020, with a short video advertising it. The Pit was advertised as a free-for-all map with special events like 2x damage and sudden death. And clearly this resonated with the Fortnite community as this video blew up, now sitting at over 130,000 views. Its initial success was undoubtedly aided by Geerzy's pre-existing presence, having built up a sizable audience from competitive guides during Chapter 1. No initial boost will push you through forever, but Geerzy was smart. He knew that a successful creative map is a live service product that updates with time to fit the needs of his players, so he kept pushing the advertising, holding polls for community feedback, and most importantly, updating the map with new features that other free-for-alls lacked. Geerzy also continued to build up his name within the creative space, with other releases like Rugged Rock's Zone Wars being featured by Epic Games. In a time where only 1 or 2 maps were featured per week, this was quite the achievement. Support like that is also incredibly vital for the longevity of a creative product, and The Pit received its first in June, when it was featured on a matchmaking portal in the creative hub. Twice! With these boosts, Geerzy kept promoting The Pit throughout the summer, also introducing the iconic branding many of you will recognise today. It's worth noting that The Pit was released during a massive creative content drought, where new items were not added for some 6 months, meaning Geerzy would have to come up with his own content to keep players engaged, as one of the key points of the map was that every item was already there. To be able to do so through this time is really commendable, and I'm sure aided in building a loyal community of players. On November 27th, The Pit received the highest achievement a creative island could in this era. It was featured on the Game Mode Select's Creative Showcase as an LTM, also receiving the iconic thumbnail it still uses today, as back then, Epic would create 3D renders for Creative Showcase maps. This era was also when The Pit was finally pushed to the top for the first time, even returning as an LTM just a couple of weeks later. Ending off its first year with a bang, The Pit has already hit the top. How does it stay there? Throughout 2021, The Pit remained its relevancy as the creative content drought finally came to an end, and Geerzy added new weapons and items to the map as they arrived, and the mode returned as a creative LTM every few weeks, with additional support from the Fortnite socials. By this point, the earliest versions of the Discover tab had been added, and The Pit was always at the forefront. This effectively creates a feedback loop. The map at the top is promoted to the most players, which causes the player counts to rise, which makes the map stay at the top. I think the tipping point for The Pit was when it was featured as one of just a few creative islands all players would need to play to complete their quests and earn Cosmic Summer rewards in summer 2021. These challenges were diabolical. The 50 headshots one was especially evil to try and complete, but ultimately they proved successful for the map as players shared their achievements with the world. On the 1st of July, The Pit was even directly showcased on the official Fortnite Twitter account. I think that's about as crazy as it could get for a creative map during this time, and honestly, Geerzy didn't even need to continue updating the map to keep players thanks to all the support. But he did. He kept adding new features, he kept iterating and testing changes and upgrading the experience. In fact, it was later revealed that at its peak, the pit was played by nearly 500,000 people at the same time. That's more players than Warzone had. Throughout the rest of 2021, this continued. The map would continue to receive new updates and occasional epic support. As new features like mythic weapons and XP gaining creative were added, the pit would see them very quickly. This was the perfect formula and allowed the pit to continue to perform well right through Chapter 3. Up till this point, there hadn't really been any blunders, but in September 2022, Cypher PK launched his own pit map to coincide with his icon skin release. Geerzy tweeted sarcastically, "Your dreams can come true if you copy the pit." Now, I've given Geerzy credit where it's due. He successfully kept the pit relevant for over 2 years by this point, but it's also not his concept. The pit is very clearly based on the Minecraft Hypixel minigame of the same name, and to claim that someone else is copying your map when you too pulled inspiration from another place, it's a little off. There are plenty of pits copies out there, and some of them are very egregiously copying what made Geerzy's version work. And I completely understand that seeing a popular content creator do the same as you must be really annoying. But some of the tweets made during this drama were interesting, to say the least. Claiming that you invented a genre you took word for word, bar for bar from Minecraft is certainly an interesting claim. I think it's important to reflect on moments like this because they don't necessarily prove any sort of egotism or ill intent from the creator. They can be chalked up to simple lapses of judgment under the influence of fame. It is more than possible that Cypher's map was directly inspired by Geerzy's pit, that is undeniable. However, there is a level of irony in calling him out when you also cannot definitely prove he didn't also just see the Minecraft minigame that you copied. Needless to say, the comments under updates for a while after that incident were interesting to read. Still, the pit drain didn't slow down, becoming the #1 most popular creative map in all of Fortnite in October 2022. Shortly after, Geerzy started a formal team, creatively named Team Geerzy. It's actually a very professional team filled with many kind and talented people, some of whom I've had the pleasure of personally talking to from time to time. They even announced a brand integration into the pit. I couldn't find any more info on this, so I'm not sure if anything came of it, but that's still pretty impressive. In 2023, we saw 2 new variations of the pit introduced. First came Zero Build in July. It's a new mode with more structures in the arena and plays completely differently to the original, but is still a ton of fun. This was swiftly followed by Heroes in September. I think this is my favourite version of the pit. It utilises the UEFN toolset to add custom hero abilities that switch out every few minutes. It adds some great twists to the classic pit gameplay with all the different variables and is just a lot of fun. And that brings us to today, where the pit remains just as popular as ever. I think there are a few reasons for this. First, like I said, it's updated consistently. Pretty much as soon as a new item is added to Fortnite, it's added to the pit. There are a variety of items so players can always try something new or stick with the guns they know, no matter how obscure. Your favourite weapon is a makeshift shotgun? First, what's wrong with you? Second, don't worry, it's here. The pit definitely appeals to a certain demographic of player. The most annoying demographic of player, the little try-hard kids who want to become famous Twitch streamers. But also those who just want fast-paced action and chaos without all the trims and labels. The pit has received its fair share of flack for being bland or uninteresting despite its success. But truth is, it just fills a gap in the market that another map would take if not for the pit. Would I prefer a more interesting adaptation of Hypixel's famous minigame with some rolling hill environments and maybe even kits? Probably, but there is no harm in enjoying Geerzy's The Pit, and I certainly enjoyed it a lot while recording footage for this video. The Pit is a rare Fortnite creator success story of a map that went from nothing to being one of the faces of Fortnite Creative, with many features, LTMs and events under its belt. Geerzy receives quite a lot of criticism for his success, and while some of it may be fair, it is undeniable that he worked hard and consistently to build this up and make it into the success it still is today.
I was lucky enough to be granted the opportunity to take a look around the pit myself in person, and also I was lucky enough to talk to Team Geerzy member Cruzy as a little exclusive interview for this video. We made a whole segment out of it, so take a look. Hello and welcome to the first and only episode of the Pit Podcast, trademark pending, starring yours truly. Today I have with me Team Geerzy member Karutsi. Would you like to say hello?
Hey guys.
Wow, beautiful. So kicking off our exclusive top of the line interview, how did you join Team Geerzy?
Well, I first joined on April 1st of 2023, right around when UEFN dropped. I was in the midst of making a server, a community server, to help people out and provide resources for people learning UEFN, and that caught Geerzy's attention, and I was someone who was notable in the space for a little bit because I started to post my creations and I started to post tutorials and tips, and he reached out to me and he was like, basically, do you want to work with me? Do you want to help me create these new experiences to really modernize things and bring UEFN to that team?
When did you start creating in Fortnite?
I started creating in Fortnite on day one. As soon as Lachlan leaked Fortnite Creative that day before, I knew that that's something that I wanted to do forever. So that first day of this season, I loaded up Creative. I went straight there. I didn't even play Battle Royale, and I just started messing around building. My first build on day one was a thing called the Vault, which was just an arena that only had the vaulted weapons in it. So I'm an OG.
What projects have you worked on with Team Geerzy?
So the first thing that I worked on when we first signed me on was a project called FOV Zone Wars. We first figured out how to get a different FOV in UEFN, so we made a Zone Wars out of it. Shortly after that, I began working on the Pit Zero build, which was a passion project specifically for me because I am a Zero build player. That's all I play, so I really wanted to make an experience for Zero build players because at the time there really wasn't any. And I remember even asking before I got signed to the team, hey, can you make a Pit Zero build? When will there be one? So it's very ironic that I joined the team and then I come to make one, and that's definitely my favorite project. And then shortly after that, the Pit Heroes, which is just like the building pit, but everyone's got superpowers.
So how did the Pit Zero build and Heroes come to be? Did you pitch those, or were you assigned to make those? Like, how did those, enter development?
Well, it was first pitched to me, wasn't my idea, but I definitely played a very big role in creating it. I definitely had a big hand in the layout and how it was created. The zip lines that are in the Pit Zero build are actually custom because at the time they weren't working. So I modeled by hand zip lines to have inside the map, as well as the item spawners that you see. So I definitely played a big hand in finding issues within UEFN at the time and remedying them with these new skills that I've been learning. The Pit Heroes was during a time where that hero trend was very popular, so we decided that we saw a demand for a heroes combat focused and free-for-all genre, so we spent a lot of time developing custom powers with verse, very complicated and very sophisticated verse, bringing these powers to people in a way that they understand, and it was a massive success right away, becoming the #1 map that weekend. And so it was a very good idea for us to maximize the potential of that genre really coming to a peak at that time and turning it into an experience that still holds a player base today.
What's it like dealing with the criticism and the hate that the Pit receives on a daily basis?
Well, with any popular thing, any popular map, you're gonna get criticism, and a big part of it for me is, of course, holding my tongue and really focusing on the criticisms that are important, people's feedback on, of course, shockwaves and slurpfish, that is a big one, and listening to these valid criticisms and kind of ignoring the ones that don't help me in any way. And it will always happen. You'll get hate no matter what you do. So having that kind of exposure early on while I continue to develop has really helped me to kind of get thicker skin and kind of hold my tongue, not outlash or lash out at people who don't provide any feedback for me.
You talked about shockwaves and slurpfish. What is your opinions? What is your perspective on the infamous strategy of sitting on that big blue wall and just sniping people down?
Well, I can't say that I don't do it myself. And of course, it's not a bug, it's a feature. We've got zip lines that go up to the walls in the Pit Zero build. So really, if people want to sit up there, they can. And if you don't like it, you could always leave. But that option is always available to people if they want to go that route.
So the pit is obviously a map that relies quite a lot on keeping its community engaged through content. And the content drought of 2020 is long behind us. So what is update day like?
Well, typically, I'm sure most creators can relate. Update day is a scary day. Everything breaks, something always goes wrong. So I'm up at the crack of dawn as soon as the servers come back up, looking through Twitter, looking through forums, which I highly suggest people start using, looking for any kind of bug that I can find, seeing if it affects us at all, seeing what's been added, if there's been new guns, where can we put it, that is like in a balanced way. Like if it's something super powerful, maybe it should go in a vending machine and not on the floor. So it's definitely a critical thinking moment, and that is usually just me. I'm usually the one up at update day, looking through everything, changing, updating all of the maps, making sure everything's good, because we heavily rely on the fact that we are on point, we are always updating. We don't need to advertise we have the new guns because people know we have the new guns. So maintaining that up-to-date reliability is a big part of the brand.
Okay, is there anything more you'd like to say? Any hashtag self-promo you'd like to do? Hashtag ad.
First off, play the Pit Zero build, play the Pit Heroes. Be on the lookout for some awesome new things coming up. Follow me on Twitter at Cruzy, just that. And keep creating, everybody. You'll get there someday. Follow me on